Well, hello, 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 beautiful people. Welcome to another Pause Reset Brunch monthly podcast for the month of March 2024. My name is Natalie Francis-Clarke, and my guest this month is Ronika Gerald. Right. So before we even get into it, I'm going to read her bio and we'll start. So Renika is an island girl hailing from picturesque Montserrat and residing in the UK. She embodies a spirit deeply rooted in well-being. With a thirst for travel and a dedication to self-care and inner healing, Renika has a life centered around authenticity and empowerment. As a seasoned communications and marketing professional, Renika brings her unique blend of creativity and strategic thinking to the forefront. Her journey led her to establish Soufre Living, a lifestyle paper goods brand aimed at inspiring and motivating individuals to embrace their true selves and live life on their own terms. Throughout her personal odyssey, Renika has encountered her shares of challenges. However, armed with resilience and a commitment to grow, she embarked on a path of self discovery, drawing from a diverse array of resources, including therapy, self help literature, and immersive travel experiences. Renika has navigated her ongoing journey towards intentional living with grace and determination. Renika's literary companions on her journey of self discovery include transformative works such as Mother Hunger by Kelly McDaniel, The Origins of You by Vienna Pearson, All About Love by Bell Hooks, The Body Keeps Score by Basil van der Kolk, among others. And I hope I pronounced that name correctly. These books have served as guiding lights, offering invaluable insights into intricacies of healing. Sorry, technology, healing, attachment, and self empowerment. So, Renika invites the audience to embark on a journey of self reflection and intentional living, empowering them to break free from societal, I can't read today, expectations and chart their own path towards fulfillment. In essence, Ronika's story serves as a testament to the transformative power of self awareness, resilience, and self care. Through her work and personal journey, she aims to inspire others to embrace their authenticity, heal from past wounds, and live life with intention and purpose. So let's welcome Ronika, which I'm going to say Ronnie. You're going to hear me say Ronnie throughout.
Mhm.
But let's welcome her. Welcome.
Thank you, Natalie. Nice to be here with you today.
Um, so I always like to start off by asking, are you eating or drinking anything at the moment?
I'm drinking water. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm actually drinking um, hot water and lemon
Okay.
right now. So, but yeah, so you know what, Ronnie, I'm just gonna get right into it because you know I just love the transparency in your bio. So, can you share with us the pivotal moments or experiences that led you to establish Soufre Living? And how does the brand aim to inspire individuals to embrace their true selves?
Mhm. So I would say the pivotal moment was back in 2015. And this was at the point where I had just been made redundant and didn't really know what I was going to do. Lost my job after I came out from holiday. And I was going through also a breakup at the time. So I just felt like, oh my goodness, life has just come crumbling down onto me. Um, but behind all of that, I always felt a sense of hope, no matter, there was like this drive inside of me that just always kept going no matter what. Um, on top of that, I also had family dynamics issues. So I just felt like I was dealing with so many things and I needed a way to find an outlet, essentially, find an outlet to breathe, find an outlet to explore new possibilities, and just to find some joy again. And it took a long time for me to find out how to design Safari Living. And I thought, you know what, one day I thought I enjoy reading quotes, I enjoy reading self help books. Why not create a brand that embodies well being and positivity for others? Why not share what I've been through and turn that into something more positive? So essentially, that's the backbone of how Safari Living started. And it's simply started by me starting an Instagram and just sharing quotes. Wasn't always consistent with it, but I knew in the long run that I would like to make it bigger than what it was. And slowly but surely, with time and patience and grace and trials and error, I finally actually decided to dedicate some time once I got back into working and had the funds to create a website and actually work with artists to develop a brand and artwork and quotes, wall art prints. So that's how it really started. And it's been going for since 2015. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, so, your journey towards intentional living, which self-care, I always stress that is intentional. It's so easy to
Yes.
just, you know, go to old habits, right?
Mhm.
So like I was saying, your journey to intentional living involves blend of therapy, self-help literature, traveling. Can you elaborate how these three elements contributed to your personal development?
Mhm. So intentional living for me is it's definitely a challenge, but it's one that I have to always force myself to do and check in, like regularly check in. And so I think with Safari Living definitely helped me to live intentionally because I thought, well, if I'm going to preach this to others, I have to practice it. And it started off with me feeling down, me feeling like I was a failure. So I thought, okay, in order to live intentionally, and I'm showing this, I have to actually embody all of that. So it started off with Safari Living, and through the traveling came doing solo traveling, and that essentially you're out there by yourself, you're out there not really knowing whether you're going to go on a tour or you're kind of forced to meet people. So that was me taking the essential step to living intentionally and discovering myself. um for therapy is something that I have been doing since I was 17 years old. And what I like to say is don't wait until you have a moment of despair to start therapy. Start therapy when you feel good about yourself, because those are the tools that are going to actually allow you to, when you're feeling really rubbish about yourself, to pick back up those resources that you might have been taught through therapy to help you get going again. So that's one way of me living intentionally and just kind of have that my therapist voice in the background of my head. Okay, what would you do, Renika? If something terrible was to happen to you at work, how would you advocate for yourself? So those are ways that I really would aim to live intentionally. And for the resources, yes, the books that I've read that allowed me to journal, for months. Sometimes I wouldn't do it where I'd have a period of, I'm not in the mood, but I continue to do it. And a lot of the journaling that I have, I'm now able to look back. There's things that I've written down from 2014, and I was like to myself, oh my goodness, I've actually achieved some things and some things I haven't achieved, but it's there. It's shown my growth in retrospect of how far I've come. So, those are how I would embody of living intentionally, and just having accountability. you know I put post-its notes on my wall. I say to myself, these are the things that I want to achieve, and I will um, list them out in affirmations. Those are there literally by my living room wall. So when I'm sitting down watching the TV, I glance to the side and I would, take a look and just read it out or just look at them. So those are way that I continue to, aim to live intentionally and just, yeah. That's my tricks or tips for
I
myself.
like where you put the affirmations. I know normally most people they'll probably put it in their bathroom mirror
Mhm,
or their dresser mirror or something like
mhm.
that. But here it is, you're relaxing, right?
Yeah.
This is the environment where you kind of tend to relax and
Mhm.
watch TV and
Yeah.
and then you glance and then it's
Yeah.
like, huh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, so sometimes I don't even notice that it could be intentionally glancing or just glancing over to the left and it's there. So
Mm-hmm.
no matter what, 'cause I'm always gonna sit on my sofa, So I just think it's a nice way for me to always be reminded and yeah, just keep that drive going for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Um, Question, when you have visitors come
Mhm.
over, do you still keep it up or just, or you're like, hey, whatever. I don't.
Yeah, I'm like, whatever. I don't really know if they look at it or not. Some do, like my friends notice it, for definitely my sisters noticed it. And I've had people who notice it but not looked at it. Or maybe they look at it when I'm in the bathroom. I don't know. But I don't mind because, there's nothing there that I wouldn't want anyone to know about. And I might write things down very briefly, and you might not know what it means, but it means something to me, you know? So it
Mm-hmm.
could be a scripture, it's just a word, So yeah, there's at least about 10 little post-it notes on there with different things on there. So yeah. And at least people see, so they could be motivated to do it as well. Yeah.
Awesome. So the books you've mentioned, Mother Hunger, which I
Mhm.
haven't heard of, but definitely The Body Keeps Score. So when I
Mhm.
read your bio, I said, okay, I have to get this book because I keep hearing about this book,
Yeah.
Body Keeps Score. And
Mhm.
it was something that happened recently and it was a trigger. And
Mhm.
somebody said, you need to read The Body Keeps
Yeah,
Score. Yeah, yeah. So, but
absolutely.
but as far as, those 2 books,
Mhm.
they seem to have played a significant role in your journey of self-discovery. You
Mhm.
know, care to discuss how these books, or maybe others, or even through
Yeah.
your journaling, influence your perspective on healing,
Mhm.
attachment, and self-empowerment?
Mhm. So there's another book as well, similar to The Body Keeps Score, and it's by um Gabe Mate. I hope that's how I'm pronouncing his name. It's called When the Body Says No.
Mm.
I find those to be very similar as well.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, well, since we're on that topic, I will just say how that and the others has helped me. So essentially, how my understanding is everyone was going to take it differently. You read something and you digest it differently. But for me, it was a pivotal trauma, if you want to call it that. My insecurities, my stresses, my anxiety, my depression, all of those things um, was weighing down on me, and it was in my body essentially, you know, and that's essentially what Gabe Mate talks about. That a lot of people get sick because they are emotionally worn down,
Mm.
and it was a point where I couldn't sleep properly. My shoulders were aching, like literally tense. My left shoulder particularly would be like, I don't know, just on fire, right? And it's like, what is going on with me? So when I started to read these books and realize about how the impacts of your emotional mental health has has a direct link to your physical health, your digestive system as one of them. I suffer with IBS from since a
Mm,
teenager, and when I link it back to the problems that I had growing up to my physical health. So all these things has really transformed the way I think now, and it's just opened up my eyes to being more clued up to when I'm starting to feel stress. Okay, I take it back and, use my meditation mechanism to really stay in tune with myself, because I can't afford to be physically ill, or
mm,
mentally ill. So that book's really helped me with learning about the stresses and how that impacts you and how you carry that through life, you
mhm,
know. And when the body keeps score, they talk about, when people suffer PTSD, how they come back from the war and how they struggle to break back in society because it's ingrained inside of them. So it's really similar to ourselves, really. Mother hunger, and the origins of you. I would highly also recommend that. I think that is a good book if you're trying to find out why you are the way you are. Why you are the way how you think. It all stems from your, I know it's very cliche to say it stems from your upbringing,
mhm,
but it's really, really true. And some of us don't realize how true it is. We just sail through life. We sail through life and not actually question, I remember that time when such and such took place, but you don't think about it that much until something triggers you later on in life.
mhm,
And that's essentially what the origins of you is about. Well, for me, anyways, and mother hunger. Mother hunger looks at the daughter and mother relationship growing up, looks at the style of mothering, whether absentee mother or um, a strict upbringing. All these really in tune to me of how I am today because of my upbringing. And it's very challenging. It's very heartbreaking to now only realize, actually, as an adult now, I went through a lot, but you just don't look at it when you're young, and you realize that it shapes who you are. It shapes your attachment style. One of
mm,
the books I read called Attached talks about anxiety attachment, avoidant attachment, or secure attachment. And I realized that I fall in between of anxiety attachment. I'm definitely not secure and I'm not avoidant, but it talks about how you form relationships with these individual people and why. Whether you had an anxious mother with an avoidant father. It looks at all of the, so it gives you ways of thinking about, why you make certain decisions, why you are in certain relationships,
mhm,
why you're
mhm,
in certain friendships. So those books really, really, along with counseling, I was able to really study and understand myself. Like we have become so self-aware that it is quite scary at times, because it just makes you think, gosh, if only I had known, if only I had known sooner. But
mhm,
I just have to give thanks for that I know now, and I still have the years ahead of me to continue to do good. Um, and it's not always easy, because although I know these things, I still fall out of habit. There's still moments. It doesn't mean that you're going to become perfect. It just allows you to stop and think, you know what, this is not right. You know, how am I going to advocate for myself?
mhm,
You
mhm,
know,
mhm.
so
Yeah, so something happened recently, and I realized, yeah, this is not a good fit
mhm,
for me, and so I ended that contract,
mhm,
and it seemed as though once I did, all my creative thoughts came back. And
No.
and and it was kind of crazy, like what was why did I even want to give that a chance? From the time I
Yeah.
saw a red flag, why give it a why get a chance? And I
Mhm.
realized, wow, me doing that, even though it wasn't a long time at all, it
Mhm.
suppressed it
Yeah.
suppressed a part of me, that I
Mhm.
needed, so that was
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. And I ask myself those questions too. Why do I go into something that I know it's not right, but then I realize it's because I thrive. Well, I thought I thrive. I thrive on chaos. That's how it's always been for me, you
mhm,
know? So it makes sense why I go into things knowing that something ain't right, but I'm still gonna do it regardless because that's what I'm used to. So it's just once you know who you are, you would slowly but surely realize and do what you did by pulling back and say, no, it's not for me. Yeah.
awesome. Okay. So I know you talked about generational trauma
Hmm.
and the impact on personal growth and decision making.
Hmm.
Um, how do you how would you recommend individuals to recognize and address the inherited pains from past
Hmm.
generations?
How would they recognize it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I would say if it's all depending on, well, one is depending on the family dynamics. Um, but if individuals are carrying a sense of burden, a sense of guilt,
Hmm.
um, they, how can I say, I guess also a part of it is a self worth as well. Um, because for me, generational trauma is it goes so deep that it's so far back from your grandmother. As an example, they always say we carry our grandmother's seed. When they were going through pain, our mother were going through pain when they were pregnant with our mothers. So it goes way back. And I think for me, that is very much true. I believe strongly in that I carry my grandmother's pain since I was in my mother's tummy, or as a seed, I should say. um, but I think it's a lot of it is to do with the burden that people may carry subconsciously, um, the reaction of how they feel about their family, whether they have a family, but then they feel whether they feel left out for some reason, or they feel indifferent to certain decision making that goes with the family. Um, so it very much varies how they can recognize it, but it's more of a feeling. I think you would know deep down that something has gone wrong in my family and it's time to address it. It's
Hmm.
time to address myself to find the healing because it starts with you. When started to get healing, I didn't tell anyone in my family, you know. I had to deal with how it bothered me first. And
Hmm.
then if you want to, you can then approach whether it's your mother, your sister, or your father, or whoever it is. So I would say start with you essentially. And you might actually find that you don't know that it's generational trauma until you get to doing the work. Because the things that I picked up during my counseling, I didn't realize that it was through a family lineage until certain things was unraveling. So you might not know straight away. But whatever is bothering you inside, I would suggest get some get some help, talk about it, and then
Hmm.
you start to realize, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. Yeah, I love this. As you're talking, certain things are coming in my head, and I'm like, okay, nope, nope, that's a behind the scenes conversation. So, um, understanding one's origins.
Mm,
in, in personal growth. And I know this is could be sometimes linked to the generational trauma,
mhm,
but how 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 important was it for you to leverage how your origins influence your path,
mm,
you know, um, your background of self-reflection, and
mhm.
how has that been in understanding your origin?
Yeah.
I mean, here it is. I mean, you were born on Montserrat, right?
Mhm, mhm,
So Caribbean upbringing, for
mhm.
sure. And then different traumas, as you say, passed down. But as far as like the origin, how would you say finding
Yeah.
all that out? How has that leveraged your self-reflection and growth?
Mhm. Yeah, it's well, for one, I'm still working on it, and I think it will always will be. Um,
Because it's intentional.
yeah,
Mhm, mhm,
definitely. Um, so it's a good question because we could even go way back as far as me being living on an island to arriving in the UK at age 9 to now living my adult life here and how it shaped me. Um, but I would say I've only in the past 3 years started to really leverage it or really use it to my own advantage in terms of healing, that is. Um, and I guess for me, it's understanding why I behave the way I do, why I think the way I do, why I might react to something the way I do. And again, that's just part of my upbringing. And I only started to realize this quite later on. And it's a shame. I always say it's a shame because I feel like I would have made certain decisions, but we can't go back to the past, you know?
mhm, mhm,
Um, how would I have leveraged it? Let me see. Um, well, for me, it's about growing up in a home, with a Caribbean mom and just a single Caribbean mom. And that really is the essence of who I am today. A strong, independent woman
mhm,
um, that is tired of being strong and independent often, and once I realized that that is often not a good thing, is when I said to myself, you know what, I need to take a step back and look at the way why I've lived the life I have, why I've worked so hard or why I've hustled or why I'm constantly on the go, you know? And it was looking at how our parents grew up in a very much, you have to do this, you have to do that, or else. And it was trying to understand their world of thinking is how I decided to really um, change it and say to myself, you know what, that's not the lifestyle I want or nor for when I do have kids in the future, God willing, you know?
mhm,
So for me, it's understanding that origin, that lineage, and say to myself, I want to change that. I'm going to break that lineage. I'm going to break that generational curse, and it starts with me. So
mhm,
I think that's what I'm starting to leverage. I'm doing what my mother should have done or what her grandmother should have done, but they didn't have the resources back then to
mhm,
do. Um, so I'm doing it for myself and for my future,
mhm,
my
mhm,
future generations to come.
mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So, give us a fun fact about Ronnie.
Fun fact. Ooh. Let me see. Um,
Other than we know you love traveling.
okay. Okay, okay. Um, let me see. I used to play the steel pan when I was young.
Oh yeah? Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to play the steel pan. I actually picked it back up when I was living in Montserrat in 2022. So yeah, that was a cool thing to do from childhood to then coming back to it at a later age.
Mhm.
So yeah.
So going back to that, so I
Mhm,
know you had moved back to Montreal and then you moved back to the UK.
mhm,
Just
mhm.
even for that temporary time, how was that?
Oh gosh, that was I think that was one of the highlights of my adult existence.
Yeah? Oh boy.
Yeah. Both good and bad.
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
because it was a point where I was, although like Montserrat is home, it is very much still foreign to me in a sense that you know of people, but you don't know them like that. So I literally went in alone. You know, I didn't have anyone that I could, really bounce off of. I just went in,
Mm-hmm.
I moved there, went in, and just did it all by myself. I had to make friends again. Um, Familiarize myself with an island that I'm not so used to anymore. Really, just everything, the epitome of throwing you in a deep end is what I learned, and how to really enjoy my own time and space, because enjoying your space here in the UK is very different to being on an island where you don't have much going on, to do.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I really had to, learn to be in my own thoughts, essentially, which is what allowed for me to do. I learned to swim, by the way, so that's a fun fact.
I've been learning to swim since I was how old? Still can't swim.
Oh, see, it's so funny. People on the Caribbean islands all know how to swim. Majority of us don't, but I learned to swim. So that was a great achievement that I set out to do, and I managed to do it when I left. Um, so for me, that was a time of just trial and error, going in,
Mm-hmm.
not really knowing what to expect, and actually realizing that I have a voice. And, if I didn't like something, I would vocalize it in a way that stayed true to myself. And it was hard. It's really hard because you're going into a place where people have their own way of thinking, their own way of doing things, very island-like mentality, This is it and that's it. No need for change. Whereas I'm just coming from a place where it's like, or living in a place where you constantly evolve. So one sense it forced me to take a step back, but it also forced me to know who I am and what my values are.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was I don't regret it at all. I don't. I
And
don't.
you were there for a year or so?
Just over a year, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it was a really good time.
Okay. If the opportunity presents itself, would you do it again?
I would. I would. I definitely think that I what mantra allowed me to do is to um really discover that I would love to live on an island. I
Mm.
do. Um
Mhm.
There's just something I think that's where my calling is. I just want to live the island peaceful, relaxing life. So I'm trying to figure out what's that going to look like in the next 2 to 3 years.
I know I left Munset when I was very small, 5
Hmm.
so, and but yet at the same time, it's like what you're accustomed to is kind of no longer, right? Um,
Yeah.
but the thing is, the moment I smell that air is like a rejuvenation.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
you just can't explain it. It's like your
Yes.
home is a rejuvenation,
Mhm.
and you and I both, we are a part of Village 664, so
Mhm.
hopefully some great stuff come out of that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I mean, Ronnie, I just want to thank you for being so transparent with us and on your intentional journey. And, I'm just honored that you agreed to be on the show. And kudos. I can't wait to see more for Super Living.
Thank
Um,
you.
so if anyone wants to get in contact with you to learn more about Sophia Living, how can they get in contact with you?
They could either find me on Instagram or they can email me at living and I could spell it for you if they don't know. It's SOUFRIER living LIVNIG at gmail.com, and it's Sophia Living at on the Instagram or at Sophia Living.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, is there anything else you want the audience to know?
I would say just keep doing what you believe is right for you. Um, and yeah, keep on learning, keep on growing, and it's a journey. There's no, we speak about healing, and there's no time frame to healing. It's a
Mhm.
constant evolving um, part of life. So just keep on doing, and always remember your values. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. And, I just love the intentional, and it is continuing this
Mhm.
intentional journey. So,
Absolutely.
on that note, Ronnie, thank you for being my guest today. And if you are out there
Very
and you're interested in being a guest on Pause Reset Brunch Podcast, you can email me at pauseresetbrunch@gmail.com. You can check out my website, www.naturalandting.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Natural and Ting LLC. So, on that note, once again, Ronnie, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you
And
for having me.
for everyone else out there, have an awesome day on purpose.
Thank you.